Day and night and day, the living creatures give their praise to Him who lives eternally. They never cease from saying, Holy, holy is Yahweh Almighty, worthy, worthy to receive all glory.
Hello. Welcome to Heart of the Tribe. Whether you're able to join me now or in the future, I'm just so glad that you're here for this presentation. My name is Chelle Wagner, and today I am presenting something I've been working on. It is the book of Isaiah, and I'm really excited about this. This is probably one of my very favorite books in the Bible. It just means so much to me. And there's so much depth to it, and I'm learning so much going through slowly. So this is Friday. It is August 11th, 2023, and it is a few hours before Shabbat begins at my house, and I'm ready. So I decided I'd just go ahead and do this today. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add this to the screen, and we'll start going through. So the message of Isaiah, we're in chapters 1 through 3. Okay. Get everything just so. All right. So I want to start out. This is by a book that's one of my favorites, that if you've watched some of my teaching, I really enjoy Robert L. Cate's study on the Old Testament and what he had to say. And so his book is an introduction to the Old Testament, and it's studied by Robert L. Cate. And he says, the book Isaiah is one of the longest in the Bible, along with Jeremiah and Psalms. It is clearly one of the more significant books in the Old Testament. Its impact upon Jewish thought of the late Old Testament and early New Testament era can be measured by the fact that more copies of it have been found among the Dead Sea Scrolls than any other book, with the exception of Deuteronomy. Its impact upon Jesus and the writers of the New Testament is demonstrated by the fact that it is quoted more than any other book, with more than 400 different references to it having been identified. Its appeal lies in its portrayal in the first part of the book of the Messiah as king, and in the second part of the book of the Messiah as suffering servant. The poetry of the book is exalted, and its literary genius is unquestioned. So with that, I wanted to get started with what I saw in it. It's starting right in Isaiah 1:1. So Isaiah 1:1 says, these are the visions that Isaiah, son of Amoz, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. He saw these visions during the years when Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah were the kings of Yehudah. Okay, so he is not the son of the prophet Amos. This is someone different. Okay, so vision, the Hebrew word is hazon. So we can see it's got a het, it's got the Zion, it's got a vav and a nun, or a nun safit if you're looking at the modern. Okay, in the Brown Driver Briggs, the definition is given that it is prophecy, oracle, a divine communication. The primitive root word is hazah. And you see it's got the het here. It's got the, why is my brain just going blank with what that one is? Zion. To look up at my board of letters. All right, Zion, the plowshare. I just said it a minute ago. And then it's got the hay, and it looks like the little man, standing up in the pictograph. All right, so the root word here by the Brown Driver Briggs means to see, perceive, look, prophesy, provide, to perceive with intelligence. Okay, so visions is something that is a divine in communication from Yah to human beings, right? That gives us that a human being is able to perceive if they're operating in it with an intelligent thought. Okay. So Isaiah 1:2, hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth. I love that. So who is he addressing right away? He's addressing the Shamayim, okay, and the Eretz. This is who he's addressing. So I found that interesting that it corresponds to who is being addressed in Deuteronomy chapter 32:1, when Moses says, listen, O heavens, and I will speak. Hear, O earth, the words that I say. Also, in Genesis 1:1, we see this same pattern. In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. So we've got Shema, which means hear, right? Hear. It's more than just hear. It's hear, perceive, and set your feet in motion to obey. It's something that you're really going to take heed to, okay? So he's saying, Shema, listen and obey, heavens, right? This is what he's saying with the Shamayim. So we've got a final mem here. The final mem helps us to understand we're dealing with a plural, heavens, not a single entity. We look at as the sky, but a multiple that we are not able to number or conceive of, something so vast that it is beyond the mind of mankind. Now, in this series, I'm going to be covering a little known book known as The Ascension of Isaiah. It's put out by Sefer Publishing Company, and I'm really looking forward to being able to share that book with you. Dr. Pigeon of Sefer Publishing has given me permission to read it online. So I will be doing that in this series. So stay tuned for that one. All right. So going on in Isaiah 1:2, it says, hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth. And listen, O heavens, and I will speak. Hear, O earth, the words that I say. So here we're looking at what is the ear. Given an ear, it's azan. So you can see it here. We've got the aleph, we've got the zion again, and we've got the noon or the final noon in the modern. So this is a primitive root word, and the etymology means to ponder, to absorb, and weigh impressions. So that's when we give ear, we're really considering something, we're pondering it, we're giving it all of our meditation. And then we've got, of course, the earth, Eretz. So we've got the aleph, the resh, and the final zadi. Okay, again, the aleph, the resh, and the final zadi here in the pictograph as well. So the primitive root etymology means solidify basic needs. This is what the earth was to do. It was to solidify basic needs, physical essentials for existence, what you're going to need to be able to sprout up and live. Okay. So humanity comes from the earth, and what keeps us alive, Yah provides from the earth, right? This is where, this is one clue that we would have that maybe we shouldn't follow after things that would be translated into a word called sorcery or pharmakia, right? But maybe the herbs and the plants were given to us for a specific purpose. It's our body comes up from the earth, and what we need comes from the earth. All right, Psalm 24:1 through 3. It says, the earth is Yahweh's, and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. For he has founded it upon the seas and established it upon the floods. Who shall ascend into the hill of Yahweh? Or who shall stand in his holy place? Hello, Shalom girl. Thank you for being with me, and thank you for that blessing. I certainly appreciate it. Okay, so the hill in Hebrew is har. Okay, it's a mountain. All right, so who shall ascend into the mountain of Yahweh? Right, and so, or who shall stand in his holy place? So this holy place, the word here is kadosh, kadosh for holy, right? And then the place is makom, makom. You see it's got your mem in the modern and the final closed mem for the mem safit here at the end. So we've got a kuf and a dalet and a shin. And then we've got a mem, a vav, a kuf, and a final mem. And you can see that here in the pictograph also. Okay. So the holy place, and you can see it something off in the distance. You've got a doorway, you've got a shin, right? Which is something that consumes or destroys. This is that holy, right? When you look at this word for holy, and you understand the wheat processing, it's Frank Seekins explains it in his book that what we're seeing in the pictograph is what's left behind after the threshing process. It's the pure kernel of wheat that is left there, right? And in the makom, we've got the mem with the vav. So this water, this chaos, the movement, right, of the waters, okay, is connected to, something that is coming in waters. It's a holy place, the kadosh makom. To me, when I look at that, and I read the Brown Driver Briggs, which means it's a standing place. So this is an assigned spot, a designated position by Yahweh. To me, this is almost a place that I have to put in my mystery box, right? Because I'm not totally sure what that is and what that's describing. I do think that when we go through the ascension of Isaiah, it begins to become a bit more clear, but we have to wait until we get to chapter 6 to go that far. All right. So it's coming. So in Psalm 24:4, it says, I'm going to read this out of two different versions. So I've got the Sefer version on top and I've got the King James version on the bottom and I'm going to read you the King James first. It says, he that hath clean hands and a pure heart, who hath not lifted up his soul unto vanity, nor sworn deceitfully. Well, that's fine. But this word sworn, it really has a huge connotation that I'm so grateful that Suffer Publishing put back in there for us so that we can understand it, because it literally is a swearing of a 7 oaths. Okay. So in the Sefer, it says, he that has clean hands and a pure heart, who has not lifted up his soul unto vanity, nor sworn 7 oaths deceitfully. So we're going to take a look at what these 7 oaths, what is this describing here? Those are the people who enter into the Kadosh Makom. All right, so sworn 7 oaths. Let's take a look at that. The word is simply Shabbat. You can see it. We've got a Shen, we've got a Bet, we've got an Ayin. The word picture, I put it here for us in the pictograph. We've got it's consuming the perception of the family, something that wants to consume the perception of the family. Brown Driver Briggs, to swear, to take an oath, or to curse. It's sworn, right? All right. So in Jubilees 6:15 through 17, and that was the best that I was able to get out of that word picture. Sometimes my audience is better at the word pictures than I am. So if you guys have a different interpretation or you see something different, don't be shy. Put it up in the comments, okay? So that we can all learn together. But where I saw the significance of understanding this sworn the 7 oaths, this Shabbat, right, is in Jubilees 6:15 through 17. It says, and he gave to Noah and his sons a sign that there should not again be a flood on the earth. He set his bow in the cloud for a sign of eternal covenant, that there should not again be a flood on the earth to destroy it all the days of the earth. For this reason, it is ordained and written on the heavenly tablets that they should celebrate the feast of Shavuot. This is the feast of the 7 signs, the 7 weeks, right? It's called the Feast of Weeks. In this month, once a year, to renew the covenant every year. So it had a very specific purpose from the days of Noah when the rainbow was given. So the rainbow and the seven colored rainbow is connected to the Feast of Weeks, the 7-week festival that you wait to get to after the Shabbat that's in the midst of Passover. It always falls on a Sunday. It's one day per year. All right, Exodus 32, 9 through 11. And Yahuwah said unto Moshe, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Now therefore let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them, and I will make of you a great nation. And Moshe besought Yahuwah Eloheu and said, Yahuwah, why does your wrath wax hot against your people, which you have brought forth out of the land of Mitzrayim with great power and with a mighty hand? So this is once again, Yah was dealing with a complaining, stiff-necked people that didn't like his way of doing things, and they thought they had a better way, and they were constantly wanting to run back to Egypt. And so here's what Moshe reminds him of. He says, wherefore should the Mitzrayim speak and say, for mischief did he bring them out to slay them in the mountains and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn your fierce wrath and repent of this evil against your people. Remember Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yasharel, your servants, right? He's describing the seed line, all right? Your servants, to whom you swore 7 oaths by your own self, and said unto them, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I've spoken of will I give unto your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. And Yahweh repented of the evil which he thought to do unto his people. It means he says, okay, all right, I won't do it. You're right, Moshe, I won't do it. So Moshe was the intercessor. Okay, so I'm looking at just this letter, Zion. Okay, the letter Zion, I've got it listed several ways. You can see it in the modern, you can see it in the paleo, you can see it in the pictograph as a plow. It's something, it's like an axe head. It's something that cuts. Okay. And what is a covenant? It's something that's cut. It's when you make a covenant, something's been cut. So Zion means weapon, plowshare, hammer, cut off, set apart, to cut, fully accomplished, successful, perfect, and complete. It's interesting. It is the 7th letter of the Aleph Beit, okay? The Hebrew alphabet. So it is a verb which denotes a transmission of something, learning to think according to Yah's thoughts rather than the ways of the world. Like you cut off that worldly thinking and instead you devote yourself to the way that Yah is teaching us to think. So Abraham was given a 7-fold blessing, and we see this take place in Genesis 12, verses 2 and 3. The blessing was, and I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless you and curse him that curses you. And in you shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So there are 7 I wills of Yahweh to the children of Yasharel. So this is the 7-fold covenant that Yah made to his people. In Exodus 6, 5 through 8, it says, and I have also heard the groaning of the children of Yasharel, whom the Mitzrayim keep in bondage, and I've remembered my covenant. Wherefore say unto the children of Yasharel, I am Yahweh, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Mitzrayim. There's one. And I will rid you out of their bondage. There's 2. And I will redeem you with a stretched out arm and with great judgments. There's 3. And I will take you to me for a people. There's 4. And I will be to you Elohim, and ye shall know that I am Yahuwah Elohim, which brings you out from under the burdens of the Mitzrayim. There's 5. And I will bring you into the land concerning the which I did swear to give it to Abraham, to Yitzhak, and to Yaakov. There was 6. And I will give it to you for a heritage. I am Yahweh. And that was 7. So there's all those 7, that 7-fold oath that was given unto his people by Yahweh before the plagues even descended upon Egypt, Mitzrayim. All right, let's go to my next one. All right, gosh, we made it to verse 2 of Isaiah. Isaiah 1, 2. Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for Yahuwah has spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. You know, here it was, he's done all this. He's given them the 7-fold oath, us, our people, me, you. It's us, it's humanity, right? It's his people that he called and brought up out of bondage. And so the very first words he speaks are to the heavens and the earth, and he says to them, Shema, hear and obey. Then he tells the heavens and the earth, my children have rebelled against me. Right? So he's instructing the earth. Listen, my children are not being faithful. So he's speaking a message to the earth, which he created. You know, it's interesting when you look in some of the lost books of the Bible and you see it talk about the hoary frost being held in reserve. Even when you look at the unbelievable story of creation and what all it entails, a glimpse of what all it entails in the book of Job. You don't even have to go to the extra biblical books. Of course, if you do, it'll be even more enriching for you. But even in Job, we see his majesty, right? And so he's speaking to the earth concerning his rebellious children. He's speaking to the heavens and he's speaking to the earth about his rebellious children that have broken his heart by their rebelliousness. So he says to the heaven and the earth, Shema, hear and obey. My children are rebellious. So you can see the children, the bin, it's the bet noon there. And then we've got rebellious children. They are pasha. It is a pei, a shin, and an ayin. All right. So we've got their destruction coming from the mouth of the I, right? And I always see that ayin, you know, I know every letter has good and bad connotation. No letter in Hebrew is bad, but when I see that I often see that eye of Horus, that Egyptian all-seeing eye up on top of the pyramid on our dollar bills. So this particular word, this pasha, I would definitely say that it has that connotation because it means it's talking about being rebellious, about being transgressors, about those who revolt, right? And this is what the Brown Driver Briggs tells us. We also find that Strong's number 6585 has the exact same spelling as this primitive root, and it means to step, to march, to step forward. Okay. The Genesis, Hebrew, and Chaldee definition has for us those who have broken covenant. So who are the rebellious? Those who break covenant with Yah, who don't honor, you know, him and our 7-fold doctrine of creation and doing things his way. So our word picture tells us that Yah's children, the house of life, this is Yah's children, the house of life, the Bineh, the children, right? The house of life spoke, breathed, or with the mouth, they decided to consume ancient paganism. This is what made them rebellious. This is what we see in the word picture. Okay, so this is describing a people who have broken covenant and become sinners. In verse 4, they are described as the seed of evil doers, and that is the Zara of Ra. Okay, you can see it. I've got it both places there. We've got the harvest of Ra. That's what this is, of evil, evil, harvesting evil by the evil, the Zara of Ra. Okay. A harvest of evil, literally spoiled fruit, good for nothing, rotten. In verse 5, their head is full of malady, anxiety, calamity, disease, and grief. Wow, I just had some pictures here that said that for me. This is what we're seeing in our world right now. Their heart is troubled, faint, weak, their foot to head, their walk. Their ability to think is unwholesome. It has no soundness or support. It's full of wounds, bruises, and putrefying sores. This is what the word says. And this is what the world that we are in and fast entering into. All right, going now, Isaiah 1, 7 through 9. It says, your country is desolate. Your cities are burned with fire. Your land, strangers devour it in your presence, and it is desolate as overthrown by strangers. And the daughter of Zion is left as a cottage in a vineyard, as a lodge in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. Except that Yahweh Zavaot had left unto us a very small remnant. We should have been as Sodom, and we should have been like unto Amorah. What's he saying is, there's something coming that is going to wipe everybody out. It is going to rain down heavy judgment because of this rebelliousness, right? That because of this embracing of and consuming and desiring of this ancient paganism, okay? Instead of desiring our living Elohim. He says only a small remnant's going to survive that. So I put in a picture of things that are going on all over, and especially in our nation now, we're seeing a lot of tent cities pop up as this nation is falling apart. All right, going on down now, Isaiah 1, 14 through 17 says, your new moons and your feast are odious. What does it mean? It's like, I can't even stand the smell of them. They stink to me. They're disgusting to me. That's what odious means. It says your new moons and your feast are odious to my soul and are the burden I weary of lifting. And when you spread forth your hands, I'm going to hide my eyes from you. Yea, when you make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands are full of blood. Wash yourself. Make yourself clean. Put away the evil of your doings from before my eyes and cease to do evil. It's that word raw again. Learn to do well. Seek judgment. Relieve the oppressed. Judge the fatherless and plead for the widow. He is pleading with us to get on our knees and start interceding for his will on this planet. The plea from Yah is that his people would stop their religious duty as if that pleased him, and instead repent from doing evil, to turn their behavior around and care for those that are oppressed, the widow and the orphans. And this is what he says in Isaiah 1, 18 through 20. Come now and let us reason together, says Yahweh. Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool. If right there's an if here. If ye be willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. But if you refuse and rebel, you shall be devoured with the sword, for the mouth of Yahweh has spoken it. I do these studies because I see the correlation from these words from Isaiah, these ancient prophets, into our modern day existence. In Isaiah 1, 21 through 26, it says, how is the faithful city become a harlot, it was full of judgment, righteousness lodged in it, but now murderers. You know, when you look at the foundation of our country, it is so sad to me. And I've expressed this over and over, because good people came here for a good reason. And there were plenty of people that loved Yah, but that evil seed came in. And I think that the abundance and the blessings that we have so enjoyed in this country made us lazy and ungrateful, and feeling as if we were entitled to that. And I think we're about to get a sharp lesson that we are entitled to nothing, that everything that was given to this nation was given by a gracious and loving Heavenly Father, and that we have scorned him and said, get out of our nation. We became so laid back and loosey-goosey and whatever take place and rise up in this nation and get a stronghold, that it has a stronghold now. And now it has gone too far. You know, I used to pray for this nation a lot. And there came a time a few years back where Yah said, that's not what I want to hear from you anymore. I want you to pray for my people, but I don't want to hear about saving this great nation any longer. Okay? Because it's not going to happen. The judgment has been set. He says, your silver has become dross, your wine mixed with water. Your princes are rebellious and companions of thieves. What is he talking about? The leadership in your nation. Everyone loves gifts and follows after rewards. They judge not the fatherless, neither does the cause of the widow come unto him. He's like, they are not concerned at all with the less fortunate. They have no justice in their decisions. Therefore says Yahweh, Yahuwah Zavaot. Okay, who is this? This is the captain of the army host. This is Yeshua on the cross saying, yeah, you don't understand. If I wanted 12 legions of angels to come take me off this cross, I could simply speak it and it would be done, right? This is the creator, Yeshua. Okay. He created us. He created the earth. He created the angels, and he has the right to order things as he wishes. We are his creation. And this is who is the captain of the heavenly host. Okay. So therefore says Adonai, Yahuwah Zavaot, the mighty one of Yasharel, I will ease me of my adversaries and avenge me of my enemies. And I will turn my hand upon you and purely purge away your dross and take away all your 10. So what is he saying? You know, I desire to see purity in my people. And if you're going to be mine, I'm going to see purity. So what am I going to do? I'm going to heat up the fire. I'm going to heat up the fire because gold is heavier than the metals that are the fillers. And what's going to happen as the heat rises, those impurities are going to rise to the top so that he can scrape them off and out of our way, because he is determined to cleanse us until he sees his reflection, his own face of who he is in his people. He says, and I will turn, okay. And I will turn my hand upon you and purely purge away your dross and take away all your 10. And I will restore, what's that? That's probably the money system, right? And I will restore your judges as at the first, and your counselors as at the beginning. Afterward, you shall be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. Okay. He's going to have a pure city of people again. In Isaiah 127, he says, Zion shall be redeemed with judgment and her converts with righteousness. Zion is the permanent capital, a mountain in Jerusalem, right? It's a mountain in Jerusalem. You can see it. It's got a Zadi, a Yod, a Vav, and a Nun. You know, I love this one about, you know, I see Yah's hand connected to life, and I see the humbled, right? The humbled underneath Yah's hand are connected to life. This is the word picture. Like fish on a hook, man has been humbled by the deeds that are connected to life. Yah's outstretched right arm, his own right arm, he says all over and over, by my own right arm has accomplished this for me. So this is the true Zion. It's not the political Zion that's going over right now, fighting over, the rock pile in the Middle East that is a political hot zone and mess and just steeped in politics and false religions, right? That's not what he's saying. The true Zion, it's the remnant of Yahweh who have washed their robes in the blood of the Lamb. I'm not saying that there's not plenty of the remnant residing in the holy city right now that are doing their best to, stake their claim and make a way and being intercessors and praying for Yah's people and for his will to be done. There's plenty of that. He's got his people in every tribe, nation, and tongue, right? Where he's got us everywhere. We are scattered. We are in the diaspora, right? Scattered into the nations right now. So this is the true Zion. It's the remnant of Yahweh who have washed their robes in the blood of the Lamb. How does the redemption of his people take place? Through a time of judgment. What happens? Conversion comes from repentance. It's teshuvah. That's the Hebrew word for it. It means going back to the place where you departed. What state does that leave them in? Righteous. Their repentance makes them righteous with Elohim. That is the only way to righteousness, is repentance and an acceptance of his great sacrifice for us, of the blood of Mashiach, and believing in that for your redemption. Isaiah 1:29 through 1:31. Excuse me a moment. Still taking my supplements. Okay. It says, "For they shall be ashamed of the oaks which ye have desired, and ye shall be confounded for the gardens that you've chosen. For ye shall be as an oak whose leaf fades, and as a garden that has no water. And the strong shall be as tow," right? The tow is chaff, okay? "And the maker of it as a spark, and they shall both burn together, and none shall quench them," right? So you can see it. I put this picture of after the Twin Towers were demolished in the United States of America back in 2001. The Freedom Tower went up and all the stuff about how we're just going to build better and put this tree. And so a tree was put in there, and it was the tree of hope, and it died. Because arrogantly they came back, and our leaders followed word for word. Jonathan Cahn did such a good job in his book, The Harbinger. If you've never read it, read it. It's amazing what happened and how he was able to put the correspondence in there. And he tells the story of this tree. So I wanted that picture in my PowerPoint. But the oaks is I yell it in the Brown Driver Briggs. It means strength, as in a ram or a mighty man. Strong, hason. It took all my Hebrew out for some reason. Powerful, strong. And toe, no'areth, and it means something shaken out, like chaff. Okay. Sorry, something happened when I was converting things, and it took out my Hebrew letters. All right. So, chapter 2 of Isaiah, 2:1 and 2. "The word that Yeshayahu, the son of Amitz, saw concerning Yehuda and Jerusalem, and it shall come to pass in the last days." So here we are again with a very distinct word that this is written for an end days time. It didn't mean that there wasn't some of this taking place in after Isaiah's day, with the children going into captivity of Assyria and being scattered into the nations. But he's telling us right here in Isaiah 2:2, and it shall come to pass in the last days. This word is akarit. The primitive root is akar, and it means the very hind part. So a similar verb word spelled the same means to delay, wait, to stay behind, but not in hope. It's not this hopeful thing, right? It's the akarit. It's this judgment that's going to come upon the world at the end of days. So here's what it says. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, come, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the Elohai of Yaakov, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the Torah, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. This just cracks me up with all the religions today that teach that the Torah was done away with. It's never been done away with. And right here, it's going to be implemented even after all the destruction. Everybody's going to come to Jerusalem just to try and speak to those who are of the city of Zion, the people of Zion, to try to learn the Torah. Right? It hasn't been done away with. It won't be done away with. It is eternal, and it is still to come, even more fulfillment with it, right? All right, Isaiah 2:4-5. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares. All the wars will be over at this point, and their spears, all the fighting, into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. Where did they learn war to begin with? From the fallen watchers. And that's going to have been dealt with. O house of Yaakov, come ye, and let us walk in the light of Yahweh. Isaiah 2:6. Therefore, you've forsaken your people, the house of Yaakov, because they be replenished from the east, and are soothsayers like the Pelishtim, and they please themselves in the children of strangers. What an odd verse, that they please themselves in the children of strangers. What does this mean? It means that they're having relations, just what he told them not to do. They are having sexual relations with people that are not of the same seed that they are. They are mingling the seed. And this does not make Yah happy. It says their land also is full of silver and gold, neither is there any end of all their treasures. Their land is also full of horses, neither is there any end of their chariots. I've got all the idols, the big buildings, the cars, the gold, the silver, the money, the coin, the Bitcoin, the jewelry, right? Their land also is full of idols. They worship the work of their own hands, that which their own fingers have made. This world is so proud of its accomplishments and all the big things that it has done and it has achieved. And don't you believe in the science and the industry and the, technology, and just so proud of everything? Yah will have the last word. All right, reading Isaiah 2:9-17. And the mean man bows down, and the great man humbles himself. Therefore, forgive them not. Enter into the rock and hide you in the dust for fear of Yahweh and for the glory of his majesty. This is what he's saying. This is what's going to happen to the people. They're going to be crying out for these rocks to fall on them and hide them, because his glory is going to be overwhelming. The lofty looks of man shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of men shall be bowed down, and Yahweh alone shall be exalted in that day. For the day of Yahweh Zavaot shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty, and upon everyone that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low, and upon all the cedars of Lebanon. That is a reference to giants, okay? And upon all the cedars of Lebanon that are high and lifted up, and upon all the oaks of Bashan. That's a double reference to giants and the seed of Nephilim, okay, which I believe are probably already back in the earth. I don't know that they were ever completely eradicated. I don't believe so. When you look at all the archaeological evidence that honest archaeologists have been able to show. All right. Isaiah 2:14, and upon all the high mountains and upon all the hills that are lifted up, and upon every high tower and upon every fenced wall, and upon all the ships of Tarshish, and upon all pleasant pictures. And the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness of men shall be made low, and Yahweh alone shall be exalted in that day. All right, so continuing in Isaiah 2:18 through 22, it says, and the idols he shall utterly abolish, and they shall go into the holes of the rocks. They're going to take these idols that they've made for themselves, everything that they've believed in, and just throw it as far away from them as they can, right? This is what the people are going to do as he draws near. And they shall go into the holes of the rocks and into the caves of the earth for fear of Yahweh and for the glory of his majesty when he arises to shake terribly the earth. I believe that we're still feeling the beginnings of these shakings, the birth pangs, right? In that day, a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made each one for himself to worship, to the moles and to the bats, to go into the clefts of the rocks and into the tops of the ragged rocks for fear of Yahweh and for the glory of his majesty when he arises to shake terribly the earth. Cease ye from man whose breath is in his nostrils, for wherein is he to be accounted of? He's saying, don't regard man, right? Don't be listening. Don't let that be what you're afraid of. Okay. Isaiah chapter 3, verses 1 through 4. And I've just put here some of the modern leaders of our day in this nation of United States of America, because that's where I live, right? For behold, Adonai Yahweh Zavaot takes away from Jerusalem and from Yehuda the stay and the staff. What is that? That's the stay is like your bread. The staff is your protection. The whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water, right? What you're going to eat and drink, what's going to keep you alive. The mighty man and so this is the staff. The mighty man and the man of war, the judge and the prophet and the prudent and the ancient. It's taken away. The captain of 50 and the honorable man and the counselor and the cunning artificer and the eloquent orator. And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. What does this mean? I mean, if you've seen the antics going on in the politics of this nation, you know that we are dealing with childlike attitudes and mentalities. It is the behavior of children. This is who is ruling over us in this day. And the people shall be oppressed, everyone by another, and everyone by his neighbor. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honorable. I've never seen such dishonor from a generation as I'm seeing, even in I'm sorry to say it, but the millennial generation, the generation of my children. I've never seen such dishonor towards parents, towards the elderly. just such brazen dishonor, and they're breeding that in their children too, to where their children feel like they can do anything they want to do, and they'll say, this is a judgment free zone, don't judge me. And you may not be judging anybody, but you're telling them about the one who will judge and how he judges. Just trying to give a warning, and they'll come against you like you wouldn't believe, because oppression is in the air, right? Everybody wants to get one up on somebody else. You know, they really think that he who dies with the most toys is going to win. And you know, we've got this, if you see something, say something, but it's being used in a very fascist manner at this point. And I am waiting for that other boot to come down, because it will. Scripture is true. Scripture gives us the progression of things. We got the beta test in 2020. Everyone was seen for how compliant they would be. It really was a good test of who is going to be resilient and stand for Yah, and who's going to fold to the pressure of the day. And we got to see that. And so take note of what happened there and watch for the next round. In Isaiah 3, verses 5 through 9, it says, and the people shall be oppressed, everyone by another, and everyone by his neighbor. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honorable. When a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, saying, you have clothing, you be our ruler, and let this ruin be under your hands. I believe he's really saying anybody who's left with a coat to cover himself with will look like the one who's got it together, right? In that day shall he swear, saying, I don't want to be, I will not be a healer, for in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of this people. I mean, nobody's going to want to be the ruler in that day, right? For Jerusalem is ruined and Yehuda is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against El Yahweh, to provoke the eyes of his glory. The show of their countenance witnesses against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom. They hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. This picture's got two major things going on. We've got the White House lit up in the rainbow, and then you've got the obelisk that represents military might standing, towering over this rainbow, right? They're going to enforce it with military might. Shove it down your throat. Isaiah 3:10 is a promise to the righteous. It says, say ye to the righteous, that it shall be well with him, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. You know, this particular verse, in the midst of all this verses of destruction and judgment coming upon this nation, gives me great hope. It says, we're told, don't grow weary in well-doing, right? Paul told us that. Why? Because I always look at it like, things are written down. Yah says to his angels to write things down. And there's a time when books are opened. We saw it. This is what happened in the story of Queen Esther and Mordecai. They were slated for destruction according to the evil one. But then Yah troubled the king to open some books and read through accounts, because he couldn't sleep one night. And what he sees is that Mordecai had never been rewarded for saving his life. And so a reward was stored up for them, for his people. And it came at just the right moment. This is why we don't get weary in well-doing, and we just keep doing the next right thing. Yah sees, he knows, he's instructed his angels to write it down. And he knows when we're going to need that reward for righteousness at just the right time. He sees. Then it goes right back into him dealing with the wicked. So in Isaiah 3:11, it says, "Woe unto the wicked, woe! It shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hands shall be given to him." Everything that the wicked are doing is being written down as well. All the hateful things being sent by anonymous people on the internet when you're just trying to do the right thing and serve Yah. It takes a great amount of thought to write that stuff to someone. You have to really put your effort into it, and really be thinking about it and pondering your righteousness as you try to tear down the servants of Yah. Isaiah 3:12. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. So I just put some pictures. This is what's going on. We've got teenagers totally engrossed in their selfie life cell phones, right? and we wonder why we have rebellious children. We have children out of control screaming because we've pumped them full of pharmaceuticals and other things, and demanding their own way. We've got young leaders that have been absolutely groomed to be the next leaders in this generation by the World Economic Forum. We've got women that are unbelievably wicked, and we've got wicked leaders all coming together. Isaiah 3:12 says, "As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead you cause you to err and destroy the way of your paths." Isaiah 3:13 through 15. Yahweh stands up to plead and stands to judge the people. Yahweh will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people and the princes thereof. So who are these ancients? Humans, we have a very egocentric view of ourselves and our place in things, in all the cosmology, as if all of this was done just for us, instead of the fact that we were born into a drama that was already taking place, a story that was already unfolding, and we just were born into it and are a small part of all that is going on. So Yah enters into judgment with the ancients of his people. There was a whole race of angelic beings created long before we were, right? Not all of them remained faithful. So Yah will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people and the princes thereof. They're called what? The principalities of the air. For you've eaten up the vineyard, the spoil of the poor is in your houses. What mean ye that ye beat my people to pieces and grind the faces of the poor, says Adonai Yahweh Zavaot. So the ancients is a zakin, right? It says the old of humans, elder, those who have an authority, right? Interesting word there. Isaiah 3:16 and 17. Moreover, Yahweh says, because the daughters of Zion are haughty and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go and making a tinkling with their feet. Therefore, Adonai will smite with a scab the crown of the head, and the daughters of Zion and Yahweh will discover their secret parts. Let me reread that. I kind of read it in a weird way. It says, therefore Adonai will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and Yahweh will discover their secret parts, saying nothing is hidden from his sight. Absolutely nothing. In that day, Adonai will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet and their calls, right? It's all the fashion and all the, I'm this. And their round turbans like the crescent moon, the chains and the bracelets and the long veils, the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, the rings and the nose rings and the nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel and the cloaks and the veils and the bags, the glasses and the fine linen and the hoods and the veils, all the luxury, right? He's saying, I'm going to take that away. And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there shall be stench. And instead of a belt, a rent. And instead of well-set hair, baldness. And instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth and a burning instead of beauty. Your men shall fall by the sword, and your mighty in war. And her gates shall lament and mourn, and she, being desolate, shall sit upon the ground. It's coming a very sad day. Well, that is the message so far of chapters 1 through 3 of Isaiah. I will be coming back next week with the message of Isaiah chapters 4 and 5. And then when we finish that, I'm sure, I hope that next week I can get to it also. We'll start even with the ascension of Isaiah in Isaiah chapter 6. It's going to be very interesting. So thank you so much for being with me, whether you were able to join me live or you watch it in the future. I pray this is a blessing to you. And Shabbat Shalom to everyone. And with that, I will say Shalom.
Day and night and day, the living creatures give their praise to Him who lives eternally. They never cease from saying, Holy, holy is Yahweh.